All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there. September 12th, and we got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest, if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. So 2 nights ago, we swept, and we followed it up with a decent 2-1 night. The Nats and Marlins first 500 comes through, and then the Mets team total over 3.5. That comes through as well. Now, our one stinking loss, the Royals. And I told you guys, if the Royals lose this one and we roll with them, which we did, there's going to be a nice little spot, them keeping the Dodgers some company in the DNB Do Not Bet graveyard. Royals, you can see them there, the newest addition, and I think rightfully so, well-deserved. We'll see if they're on there for a while. I mean, the Dodgers I plan to keep on there for a while, so we shall see. But our only loss yesterday, and that Royals team we've lost a decent amount on in the last, couple weeks or so. But guys, let's go ahead and dive into today's slate. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're getting your favorite plays in the comments down below with the hashtag ride of the day. We haven't jumped on board with a ride of the day in a while. We have a pretty busy day. We'll see if we do, but even still, even when we don't jump on board with someone, you're helping out a ton of other people that are looking for plays. So use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. Let's jump into game number 1 here. We got the Cubs taking on the Rays. Right now, Cubs sitting at pretty heavy favorites with Matthew Boyd on the mound, going up against Shane Baz, who I do like. I know a lot of people have kind of been turned off by him based on his recent performances, but his last couple have actually been okay. I think that this is a spot in which the Cubs are still largely, in my mind, the better team. They're coming off a winning series against Atlanta. The Rays are coming off a losing series against the White Sox. So I'm going to lean Cubs in this spot, but I also don't mind the idea of trusting these two pitchers in a spot in which we probably should see a lot of wind blowing in. And I think, actually, it might be, because this is a little bit earlier of a game, it might be kind of warm in Chicago here, but nonetheless, not stupid warm, and some wind blowing in at Wrigley. So really contributing to an under there. I like the first 5, though. I want to trust these starters versus handing it off to either bullpen. I don't mind either bullpen. I don't want to go say that, but I do think you're getting a little bit better value there at the 4.5 through 5 than you are 7.5 through 9. So give me that first 5 under, but also the Cubs. I still do think they're the better team in this spot. All right, Nationals taking on the Pirates here. On the mound for the Nationals is going to be Brad Lord, who I've thought it was pitching yesterday, and they end up switching that up on us. Mitch Keller's on the other side of things, and Mitch Keller has been decent on the road. He's struggled against lefties, which could yield some bad results here against the Nationals, but even still, the slider, the sinker, the fastball, 2 of those 3 pitches, the slider and fastball, should work pretty well against this Nats team. And then Brad Lord's going to throw the fastball, the slider, the sinker, the change. None of those pitches I'm all that afraid of from him going towards his Pittsburgh squad. So yeah, I do think that the Nationals are probably worth taking a peek at home, just because Mitch Keller has struggled against lefties, and they have Abrams, Wood, Bell, who's going to be from the left side, Lyle, Garcia. They have 7 guys in their lineup that might be from the left side today, including the first 5 guys in the lineup. Probably not the best spot, but I could see someone liking the plus money from the Pirates. So really, what I like more so is that first 5 under 4.5. I think this could be like a 2-2 game maximum after 5. I think that this is a nice pitch mix from Keller. I'm hoping that him good on the road outweighs his struggles some moments against left-handers, but we shall see. I do like that first 5. I definitely don't want to get involved with the full game under in this spot. We have a 7% park factor there in Washington, and you already have a pretty rough Washington bullpen, and now they're pretty damn taxed, and this Pittsburgh bullpen I've really not been trusting lately. So I'd rather keep it to these starters that we at least feel somewhat comfortable with. Right now, Mitch Keller, obviously a guy that, has had his really good starts and really bad starts. Last time he pitched against his team, which was this year, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned, 6 hits. And then Brad Lord, 4 1/3, 4 earned, 1 strikeout, 6 hits. Let's hope these guys do a little bit better than they did last time. But give me that first 5 under, and then I do lean towards the Nationals as well. All right, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. They have a Patrick Mahomes free square for new users this week. Go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen or use the link down in the description or use the link down in the pinned comment. You're going to get this Mahomes square as well as your first deposit matched. Yes, you can double up your money right away. Sleeper's really, really cool, guys. They've been offering a ton of discounts throughout the week, especially during the weekend for football. So you're not just getting this Patrick Mahomes square. Go ahead and check it out. There are big things to come from this app. Getting on board now, you will not regret it. So if it's available in your state and you have not signed up for Sleeper yet, go ahead and do so. Again, that link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Make sure you use code GUYBOSTON when signing up to get all of the promos, this Mahomes, the deposit match, all that stuff, guys. Make sure you use code GUYBOSTON. I've been using Sleeper. I mean, geez, I've talked about it for so long on the channel, right? This is one of, if not my favorite DFS player prop app out there because of how diverse and unique everything they do is. So go hop on board. You will not regret it. Check it out. Link down below. Let's jump back into these games. All right, Phillies taking on the aforementioned Royals, the team that is now in the DMB graveyard, if you missed it at the beginning of the show. On the mound for the Phillies is going to be, drumroll, Walker Buehler, ex-Red Sox. Obviously, the Phillies pick him up due to their injuries and whatnot. Kind of needed a guy like him heading into the playoffs. Michael Lorenzen is on the other side of things. This is a really interesting one because obviously I'm not going to be rolling with the Phillies as a final, as the Royals. Hopefully that was not a Freudian slip. The Royals add it as a final play because they're in the DMB graveyard. But can we trust Walker Buehler to get the job done against Kansas City, who, if we're going to give them any credit, they are a little bit better against righties? I'm not all that sure. I do think that, Walker Buehler could get hit, but it's still the Phillies offense against Michael Lorenzen, right? And I think that that's a decent spot. They have a 276 average against him over 70 plate appearances, a 17.1% walk rate, which is important because this Phillies team against righties last 30 days has like the 5th lowest walk rate. So if Lorenzen putting them on base via walks could probably help them out. So I do lean towards the Phillies, but I'll give Kansas City a little bit of credit here that they can probably get to, Walker Buehler to some degree. I mean, he actually has decent numbers against them. When I say them, I mean the guys on the roster. 59 plate appearances in his career, 218 average against, 232 WOBA, 272 slugging. So, okay, Walker, maybe you found a crop of a whack pack that you can actually pitch against. We'll see. I do think the Phillies are still worth a shot here, whether it's the money line or the team total, even with Buehler on them up. And who knows, maybe he's going to be fired up to be on a new team, and he's like, hey, I'll actually pitch good now, because as a Red Sox fan, I did not see that in Boston. I'm moving on to what should be a good matchup. Now, you might be looking at Toronto versus Baltimore, and you're like, Ev, why is that a good matchup? Well, just simply because Trevor Rogers is on the bump for Baltimore, and he gives them a chance. I mean, a lot of people doubted this guy, and he just has not slowed down. Unless you want to say his last start was him regressing and slowing down. 5 1/3, 8 hits, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. In which, yeah, I would agree with you. That is regression out of what he was doing. But Trevor Rogers has been fantastic. 1.5 ERA, a .67, I believe it is, or .87 whip. I can't even read my own writing. I think it's .87. Strikeout rate of 24%, a walk rate of 5.5, an average against of 183. This is all on the season. Now, I will say he has, and it's funny to even say struggles, which I can show you via our dashboard, which, guys, if you want access to this tool, we also have an NFL one, GuyBostonSports.com. Head to the members area, browse around, and sign up there. I highly recommend it. We built this for ourselves. My favorite research tool out there. Updates each and every day. But Trevor Rogers, you can see he does struggle against righties if you compare it to lefties, okay? So he doesn't actually struggle. He's got a sub-1 whip, average against of 189, but all his lefty numbers are better. There's a ton of righties in this lineup, so I think that's worth noting. But man, is this tough. I still think that Toronto is by far and away the better offense. They do have the better bullpen. And then Chris Bassett at home isn't all that bad. He does struggle against lefties. Even in our dashboard, you can see it here. I still don't think that I can get to the Orioles, though. I will say that, the first 5 under gives a little bit of credit here to Trevor Rogers and maybe suppressing this this Orioles team. This Toronto Blue Jays team. Birds confuse me, man. Comment birds if you made it this far in the video. But, it suppresses this Toronto team at least a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards that first 500. I do think that these stay as leans. As much as I think you're getting decent value for one of the better offenses and better teams in the league in the Blue Jays here, Trevor Rogers is that guy. Like, he's literally, people have been saying he's going to regress for months, and he hasn't. So Trevor Rogers maybe Muntz is aggressive, but Trevor Rogers is that guy right now. So I think that, this is a tough spot to be like all gung-ho about the Blue Jays. It's really gambling at that point, I'd say. But that first 500 gives both pitchers a little bit of credit, right? All right, Red Sox, Yankees, let's go. What a weekend of baseball in front of us. We have Luis Gil on the bump for the Yankees and Lucas Giolito on the bump for the Red Sox. We already saw this exact matchup in New York earlier this year. When I say earlier this year, like less than a month ago. Lucas Giolito, 4 2/3, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. I don't know if he got the win, but the Red Sox ended up winning that game. Luis Gil actually pitched all right. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts, 5 walks, though, which that's been a massive problem of his even this year. He has like a nearly 20% walk rate, which, do you remember, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we laddered up his walks to, 3 or 4 walks and got a nice plus 200 play. I would say in this spot, yeah, maybe I'm a little biased. I'll tell you that right now. I like the Red Sox, but I am thinking that we see some runs in this one. Now, it's a little interesting because it's not too warm in Boston. Living here, I can tell. At game time, it should be right around 63-ish degrees. Not too warm, but we still have a positive plus 9% park factor here. And I think that that's going to matter. You have what I'd like to think good offenses in this spot. The wind blowing out. The wind is blowing out over the monster as well. So if you get good contact and get it high enough, you only have to hit it, 300 feet type of thing. So I like that over 8.5. There are a lot of 9s out there now. So some of these exchanges, you could still snag an 8.5. Do I mind the 9? Not at all, but realistically, that 8.5 is what I'm more so liking. You can get that in the mid minus 120s on ESPN, MGM, FanDuel, and all that, but you can get it still at like the minus 115 price on ProfitX. So shop around if you do like the idea of that. The reason I'm looking at that is that you do have two pitchers here that are going to go fastball slider as their 2 main pitches. Honestly, really, really similar pitch mix. You can see it here, right? Fastball, slider, changeup. The changeup should be the good pitch for both pitchers, but the slider and the fastball really shouldn't be. So I like the idea of these two teams, especially in a rivalry, going out there and scoring some runs and having some intensity. On the road this year, Yankees averaging 5.4 runs per game. At home this year, Red Sox averaging 5.1. You guys do that, and we're cruising to an over here. So very excited, Red Sox, Yankee. As a Red Sox fan, yes, I get a little bit more excited about that, but I think the baseball world should be tuning into this type of rivalry as well. And remember, quick tangent, quick one. I asked you guys, hey, do you still think this is a rivalry? Because obviously it doesn't have the same juice as it did 2 decades ago. The comments were overwhelmingly saying, yes, it's still a rivalry, and that gives me faith in humanity. Absolute faith in humanity that even though things maybe haven't bubbled to the surface between these two squads, we still remember that this is a rivalry. That can't get lost, right? It's like the oldest and best rivalry in sports. Come on. I don't really care about this matchup. I know you guys hate when I lead off saying that, but I'd rather be transparent than faking confidence for content. Guardians taking on the White Sox here. Tanner Bybee on the mound for the Guards in terms of how he's been pitching. He's coming off a decent start against Tampa Bay, but before that, really not all that great. He's got a mid-3s ERA over his last 5. He's going up against Martin Perez, I believe it's pronounced. He was pitching okay, and now he's coming off getting hit by Detroit, which they're hitting lefties okay right now, right? 4 innings pitched, 6 earned. I would say that, neither one of these offenses are all that impressive to me. I still like the under in this spot, and obviously that total down at 7.5 kind of agrees with me. I would lean White Sox. I don't think that this Guardians team should be, nearly minus 200 favorites over anyone, but this line is drastically moving since we got the graphic at minus 171. You can get the Guardians here at minus 150 if you want. So to me, this one's kind of lost value. I like the White Sox when you can get plus 175. Plus 150, I still do think has some value because let's not kid ourselves. They're actually not playing like all that bad of baseball. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, if you guys didn't know. They swept Minnesota, won 2 of 3 against Detroit, and then just won 2 of 3 against Tampa Bay. Is it the hardest of scheduling? No, but this is a White Sox team that seemingly the minute they said, screw it, F it, let's just have fun for the rest of the year, they've been pretty damn good. So, yeah, let's keep that in mind that this White Sox team for plus 150 may be playing better, not even may, is playing better baseball right now. I will throw in the wrench that this might be in the more recent weeks, some of the better baseball the Guardians have been playing too. But same sort of level of competition, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, so under 7. I think that both these offenses could struggle against the pitcher today, even though the 2 pitchers haven't been all that great. All right, we got the Marlins taking on the Tigers, and I've actually already thrown something in now. It's a big juicer, but I've already tossed something in on this game because I do think that we are getting a good price, even though it's pretty juice. It's going to be the Nerfy. We have Sandy Alcantara on the mound. He's at home. He's been a little bit better at home than, you'd say on the season. Is he Cy Young, Sandy? No, unfortunately, no. But again, at home, I do kind of like his spot here. And then on the other side of things is Tarek Skubal. We're getting minus 155 for that Nerfy right now. I think this is going to move into like the minus 160s. First 3 under 2.5 is like minus 188. First 5 under 4.5 is like minus 200. So for the same amount of innings to ratio of runs that would go bust, I think the Nerfy could be a nice little look. So yeah, I think it would probably be Detroit, if anything, that's going to kill us here because they might hit Alcantara, but he's a righty. They've been struggling a little bit against righties lately. He does throw the sinker, the splitter, the curve, the fast, the change. Kind of a mixed bag of a pitch mix there in terms of against. So we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, I do like the idea of the Nerfy. I've already locked that in. Again, minus 155 is a hell of a lot of juice for a Nerfy and for a dice roll type play like that. But I think we're getting some value. Hoping to be early on that one. And then Miami team total under, backing Tarek Skubal in this spot overall. But yeah, the Nerfy is realistically the only thing that I'm probably planning on keeping back up, Ev. You can't even talk right now. It's probably the only thing that I've locked in. That's all I'm not really planning to add any more to it. How's that? That's better English than whatever the hell I just said. All right, Mets taking on the Rangers here. Rangers coming off of a hell of a series against Milwaukee. They swept them. The Mets coming off of, 6 straight losses? They lost to Cincinnati 3 times in a row, and then the Philadelphia Phillies swept them. 6 straight losses. Now they have Jonah Tong on the mound, who, I'll give the kid credit. He's looked okay, but he's going up against Jacob deGrom, who I do think is a little bit of a level up, right, in terms of against him. Now, I'm going to lean towards the Texas Rangers, just because you're getting some plus money, but what I actually really like is their team total over. If we take a peek at the dashboard here, the reason I like the team total over versus just rolling with the money line is because we're going to get fastball slider out of deGrom, right? Those are 2 pitches that this Mets team is really, really hitting well. So I think I trust this Texas lineup, who has been scoring really well, to go out there and score some runs against Tong as well as the bullpen. So, yeah, I do like the plus money for Texas, but I think you might be a little bit safer asking them to go score 4 runs, right? You can get it at 3.5 for minus 130 right now. So I'm giving the Mets offense a little bit of credit here by not pulling the trigger on the Rangers. If you like deGrom, you like the bullpen, you think they can shut down the Mets offense, then I would say money line's probably the side for you because you're getting a little bit better value at plus money. But to me, what if deGrom goes out there and doesn't pitch phenomenally, right? I mean, if you look at his career against the current roster, it's not tremendous. I mean, decent average against, but how about an expected batting average of 292? WOBA, okay, it's decent. How about an expected WOBA of 372? A slugging at 500. Walk rate nearly 10. Now, it's only in 42 plate appearances against, sure. But you get what I'm saying here, right? Like, what if the Mets hit him to some degree? Then all of a sudden, this is kind of a crapshoot in terms of that money line play. Whereas if we're just rooting for offense, which I think is the simplest thing for the Rangers to do today, we might be looking at a cash without having to worry about the game's result. Braves taking on the Astros. On the mound for the Astros, looks like it's going to be AJ Blue Balls. He has 7 appearances this year, 1 start. He was in AAA, now he's coming back up. On the other side of things is Hurston Waldrop, who I admit that I've said this so many times, I keep waiting for him to regress to some degree because he's one of those pitchers in, again, my opinion, that didn't look all that phenomenal in AAA, especially this year. I mean, and he didn't even look all that phenomenal. He pitched 2 starts last year, right? Yet he's been an absolute stud this season in the bigs. He's got a 1.06 whip, an ERA of 1.3, a 1.06 whip, an average against of 190, strikeout rate of 24, like looking pretty damn good. And yeah, AJ Blue Balls here I don't necessarily want to trust much of, so simply put, I guess, I'm going to fade my own thought thinking that Waldrop will regress at some point. Give me the Braves and their team total over. I think that, we're going to get a ton of sliders and changeups out of Blue Ball, and this should be a fairly good pitch for the Braves to hit. Is this the sexiest matchup or sexiest series on the board? Not so much, especially with the pitching. But I do think, at the end of the day, plus money for what I'd consider a starting pitching advantage probably isn't the worst spot, right, with the Braves. Now, I think that they have a bullpen disadvantage, but I'd give them the offensive nod and the starting pitching nod. You get 2 of the 3 factors there for plus money today. Twins taking on the Diamondbacks. And you might look at these two teams and you're like, why are the Twins so heavily favored? And it does make sense. They have Pablo Lopez on the mound here. I would say the bullpen's a wash, and Pablo Lopez should do his best to suppress this Arizona team to some degree. And Brandon Pfaadt's on the other side of things, a guy that has had some serious highs, serious lows this year. But if there's one spot in which he's consistently been bad, it has been on the road. Nearly a 1.5 whip, a FIP of 5.96, an average against over 300. So I do think that, the Twins could score some runs today, but I still think the better offense in this case has to be the Diamondbacks. And if you're going to give me, for the what I would consider by far and away better offense, so not even I guess, for plus 120, I think I have to lean in that direction. Now, maybe it's a team total over, or even just a full game over if you trust the Twins offense against Brandon Pfaadt. I don't trust the Twins offense. It's almost like even Brandon Pfaadt's stinkiness is better than the Twins offensive stinkiness. So to me, Diamondbacks, Arizona team total as well. Those are the two spots that I'd consider in this one. It would not surprise me if this game finished at 5-4 either on either side of things, because again, the bullpens are pretty treacherous on both ends. So maybe we are selling ourselves short thinking about or missing the opportunity of just taking the full game over. So that would be, I guess, a third lean, and honestly I'm kind of talking myself into that as we say it. But let's not forget Pablo Lopez is good. I know he gets a lot of hate, but Pablo Lopez is good, and since coming back, let's see, what is he, 1 start under his belt since coming back? He went 6 innings against Kansas City and 2 earned. Like, he could pitch okay against this team. I mean, he has some decent numbers against Arizona, nothing too crazy against him in the past. All right, Brewers taking on the Cardinals. We kind of touched on it earlier. The Brewers are coming off of a series in which they probably want to forget. They had just played a series with Texas, and they lost all 3 of those games. 5-0, 5-4, 6-3. Cards coming off of also a spanking of that, they got swept by Seattle 4-2, 5-3, 4-2. Today on the mound, we have Quinn Priester, and he's going to throw a ton of sinkers. That's his main pitch. This St. Louis team does not hit sinkers very well. And then Andre Palante's on the other side of things. He's going to throw a lot of sliders and fastballs. Guess what? The Brewers do hit the fastball and slider pretty damn well. So some way, shape, or form, I like the Brewers today, whether it's their team total over or maybe Brewers -1. I worry a little bit about that -1 with them being at home. But you can get it right now on DK -136. So that might be what we go in. Maybe it's like a Brewers money line, and you kind of split up your monies to make sense with Brewers money line and the -1.5 to try and get kind of the same result. Whereas that, money line might cover the 1.5 if you need that plus money. Whatever. You guys can do the math. My brain's too slow for that. That's probably what I'd end up looking at, though. I think this is all Brewers all the way. Quinn Priester should be in a nice little, spot here. He's been pitching fairly well, and Palante has been consistent, but against this Brewers squad, I mean, even this year, he already went 4 1/3 with 3 earned. Like, if you give him that again, I think this Brewers team is off to the races. So, yeah, I like runs from them, and I like them to win this one. Padres taking on the Rockies. Gordon on the bump for the Rockies going up against Dylan Cease. Cease is going to throw that slider that should be really, really good against this Rockies squad. So, yeah, I mean, Padres, maybe their team total over, or Padres in some sort of parlay piece. I don't even have the graphic to flash up. I'm not going to be investing into this game whatsoever. Investing, I like the sound of that. But to me, it's, Padres maybe in a parlay, but even still, like, those odds are so juiced. They're not doing too much for your parlay. It's almost like more risky than the reward would even be. So let's go ahead and move on. A's taking on the Reds. This actually seems like it might be more of an interesting game than it would appear right away. You have JT Ginn on the side of things going up against Brady Singer. Brady Singer's actually been pitching really well. JT Ginn, not so much. But the key thing here is the pitch mix from both of these guys. Via our dashboard, you could see the sinker, the #1 pitch here. Okay, well, they hit the sinker pretty well. Same thing for Ginn. They hit the sinker really well. The slider they hit okay as well. The slider here is actually where you lose me. The Athletics dead last at hitting the slider in the last 30 days. So to me, if you're getting plus money, this might be a spot to back the Reds in their team total over. Those 2 main pitches, sinker, slider, are like the only 2 pitches that they're hitting really well, and really well. I mean, 1st against the sinker, 11th against the slider. Could be a good spot here. Now, this Reds offense has totally, I give you that they've been totally up and down, right? I don't want to sit here and act like they've been stellar, but to me, this Athletics offense, you could say the same thing. I mean, they had 2 games of 0 runs against the Red Sox, and then they popped off for 5. Like, this is a good young offense. I always say that, but it's far from consistent on the athletic side of things. So if Brady Singer goes out there and at least pitches serviceable, I think you have a chance at the Reds here for some plus money today. Mariners taking on the Angels. We have Luis Castillo on the bump here for the Mariners, going up against Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi's gone through a little bit of a rough stretch here. 6, 5, and 7 earned over his last few starts, 2 of which coming on the road, which makes sense. He's not been all that great on the road. Luis Castillo, I guess you could say a very similar spot here. That being said, one pitcher's been phenomenal on the road at home this year. He's also been really good against righties. There's a ton of righties in this Angels lineup. And then Kikuchi has struggled against righties. Ton of righties in the Seattle lineup, and he struggled on the road. So for me, this is Mariners all the way. Money line at -176 right now. I think you're better off paying, 9 cents a difference, getting -167 on Caesars for their team total over 3.5. That's probably what I'll look at because, this is a spot in which I think the Mariners can put up some runs. They've done it in 6 straight games. Head to head here too, 14 of 23. When at home, 6 of their last 9, dating back to last year. But this year, 5, 9, and 7 against them. Now, Kikuchi, obviously, like I said, has some talent, but he has struggled against them. One of those games that we talked about in terms of them versus, he's already seen this year, 3 earned through 4 2/3. So that would be nice. Seattle scored 4 runs in that game. Luis Castillo, though, also, I think it was the same series. It might not have been. It might have been earlier in the year. He went 5 innings and 4 allowed. So maybe the Angels can kind of contribute to this one as well. So I don't mind the idea of a full game over, but I think that Kikuchi can get hit today. Seattle's been hitting the slider pretty well. We know that's a big pitch from Kikuchi. So yeah, him struggling against righties as well is huge. So Seattle over 3.5 runs, I think, is a decent spot to look at today. All right, we got the Giants taking on the Dodgers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, perfect pronunciation, on the bump here, going up against Justin Verlander. Also perfect pronunciation. Last time these two teams saw each other was back in mid-July, and the Dodgers took 2 of the 3, and then same thing back in mid-June. So Dodgers have looked pretty good in this matchup so far, but again, let's remember that this Dodgers team has been struggling. Now, they may be turning some things around. They did sweep their last opponent, albeit it was the Rockies, but last 2 games, 9 runs, 7 runs. Maybe they're starting to put some things together. Going up against a Giants team here that's won 7 of their last 10, but Verlander, 2 straight starts of 0 earned, 3 of his last 5 0 earned. I think he's due for a little bit of regression, right? You must think that. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been really consistent as well. He's probably due for a little regression, but still, I think this Dodgers team probably hits Verlander a little bit. Now, not enough to put me towards an over or anything like that. Even if we see a regression, it could be like a 3-1 game after 5 innings, something like that. So I still lean first 5 under 4.5, trusting both these guys. But to me, Yamamoto is the much more backable pitcher, I should say, in this spot. Now, I have a couple player prop spots. We haven't talked much player props today, but Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy and Rafi Devers are 2 spots that I really do like in terms of the pitch mix that they'll see. So 2 player prop spots that I like in this game in terms of maybe their hits, runs, and RBIs. Kind of tough to lean towards 2 players for their overs, but when we like the under, but still, I think that those are 2 fairly decent spots overall. Guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got a ton of football content coming out throughout the weekend, so really do appreciate you guys just supporting us and rocking with us here. And I mean that. I know that I say it a lot, and we get comments being like, oh, you say thanks a lot. I've said this before too, like, just because I say it a lot does not make it any less true. Like, at the end of these videos, when we close out, we don't have any more baseball or football or basketball, whatever, to talk about, I'm like, damn, like, we just recorded that video and put it out to you guys, and we have an awesome community here. Kind of getting my feels a little bit, right? So hopefully you guys do understand that it's genuine, it's from the heart, and I really do appreciate all the support. And the, support is a great word for it that you guys put towards the channel. If I just had the microphone and the camera and there's no one on the other end, then we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So you guys are just as much of a gear in the machine as we are. Really do appreciate it. We'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.